Hello, and welcome to the Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and where you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm your girl, Lana, your resident evil diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Purr. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up. It's that time of year again. It's the end of the year. It's where we reflect on the years that passed. And when I reflect, I don't know about you, but when I reflect, I like to have me a nice cup of hot chocolate. And that's what I got. I got me some hot chocolate in my cup mug. Because what else am I supposed to drink it in? But I do have my excess hot chocolate in here that I will be pouring throughout the day out the recording because I need lots of hot chocolate because we have a lot to talk about. And so, but you can get your cup mug at lanagscreations.etsy.com. The link will be in the description below. And we do ship internationally and domestically in the US, so there is no excuses. And I'm looking at you, WWE Universe. I'm looking at you, all of you. You can get your cup mug or any of our cup merch, period.
Do it.
Yeah, you should. That mug is great. I need to make more hot chocolate now that you're mentioning it. Keep the pipes warm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everybody, it's Brook, your pretty mean sister. And if you got that reference, you're an old wrestling fan. Regardless, you know, it is in time to reflect. But also when we reflect, we also look forward. We like seeing what could be coming in the future. That's why I'm very excited that we're doing this video today. And I am drinking water, as usual, out of my Scarowinds mug because this thing is delightful and it holds a lot of water.
And you paid enough for it where you deserve it.
I did. I paid a lot for that damn mug.
Well, since you're talking, Wes.
Oh, I was going to let Toph handle it. Toph was ready to handle it.
I like Toph to end it out because Toph always comes with the fire, and I like Toph to end us out.
Very well. You know what it is? It's still Reed here. I'm still watching wrestling, still enjoying some premium content, including this extra content, which you can again find on the cup. So, you know, if you're watching this, watch all of our prior extra content this year. We've had a lot of it, and there will be more to come. Oops, spoilers. But you know what it is? I'm here to talk some wrestling.
And you know, if you're not sorry enough, there's no better way to end this out than with the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And if it wasn't for Bill Goldberg, 2023 would have been the best year in all of wrestling. So now we need to look to 2024 to get things going. It is Topher here, ready to bring us into 2024 with some insane Toph-Stradamus predictions.
More like Toph Heart. But out of all of the things, when you started doing Bret Hart, I did not think we were going to get Bill Goldberg slander on the timeline today. But hey, it worked out.
I just, you know, my favorite thing about Bret Hart is just that he hates old man Bret Hart is the most curmudgeon former wrestler ever.
And he just hates Bill Goldberg. And he hates Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, Bill Goldberg. There's
and
two
you know what?
Yeah.
If you too hate Bill Goldberg, give us a like. Follow the channel. And you know what? If you love Bill Goldberg, do it anyway.
Dad, Bird.
I feel like I don't have a problem with Goldberg. So I personally like Bill Goldberg. So if you like Bill Goldberg, hit the subscribe button. If you don't like Bill Goldberg and you agree with Bret Hart, hit the subscribe button. Period. That's all I'm saying. And
if you do not care about Goldberg and you're like Brook, do both anyway.
The like button.
I mean, why just Brook? If you like any of us, hit the subscribe button.
If you are like Brook and you don't care about Goldberg,
if you're like Brook,
yeah.
We're also about to find out how much is going to get carried into the next year, the way I had to carry Davey Boy through the SummerSlam 1992 match.
Jesus Christ. See,
what is this accent, too? He's Canadian, dude. He's not
Canadian. But I can't do a Canadian accent.
And this is why we
have a few A's.
This is why we have
it is not Topher's fault that he can't sound that, he can't sound that unintelligent. It's okay.
All of our Canadian, you are not going to talk about the Canadian fans that way because we love our Canadian fans. Absolutely.
Oops.
Wes.
Sorry, Canadians. My fault.
But this is why we have Topher go last because Topher always makes us go on longer. But yeah, we are here to talk about, I guess, our predictions for 2024. What do we think is going to come from? Because you know what, this year was something. Let me start there. Let's start there. 2023. Let's reflect for a little bit. What do we think about wrestling in 2023? Are we impressed? Because I feel like the way it's ending is something exciting that we can look forward to in 2024. What do you guys think?
This is one of the biggest years in wrestling probably ever. I mean, WWE is no longer owned by the McMahons. That alone is a huge deal. But I mean, Vince isn't in charge of creative anymore. Triple H is in charge of creative. AEW is still existing, but apparently it's not been going as well here lately based off of the things we have been hearing. Impact Wrestling is about to turn back into TNA. So that's going to happen next year, but I mean, they're still around and kicking, and then NWA is existing somehow. But we are at a point in wrestling where I feel like we're hitting another boom. We talked about it a few weeks ago. And it's really fun to be living in a wrestling boom because I wasn't around for the last one. I was literally not alive. So it's really cool to be existing in that space. We had a lot of good matches this year, a lot of good feuds, a lot of good stories. And obviously, no company bats 1,000 throughout an entire year. But I think this is one of the better years WWE has had in a long time.
I think to carry on that parallel to the Attitude Era, no, wrestling will never be as big as it was in the Attitude Era. But that's simply, in my opinion, because the way in which we measure wrestling is not sort of the same, right? We're never going to have tens of millions of people viewing Monday Night Raw. We don't measure like that. We now measure by clicks, we measure by impressions, we measure by views, we measure by sponsorship dollars, all of that. So we're in a different type of big. I'm going to say that. But if we're comparing it to the Attitude Era, this year was a lot like 1997. WWE had figured out a new groove. Everything that was like 1996 was a very uncomfortable year. The things that happened in 95 just was not. Right. And that's kind of where we were here, where it was like out of the pandemic era. We didn't really hit like a good stride, this mix between being in the PG and also being in the like weird, like, I don't know what wrestling is anymore, to then boom, last year, 2022, we got some momentum going where it's like, okay, we're starting to figure out a different type of edge. And then this year we firmly founded ourselves into what this new identity is, which is going to lead us into 2024 being equivalent to 1998, where we experienced the biggest wrestling has ever been. And this is just as big, but a different type of big, in my opinion.
Sure thing. And, we heard from Topher a little bit about the past, and of course you, Brook, as well. But of course, me being the most recent wrestling fan who was with the product a very minimal amount of times throughout its early 2000s and then is returning in this year, it's a pretty good year to be taking a full-time return to wrestling, I have to say. But speaking of this year, began well and ended well. I think that there were some points in the middle, like So Mid Slam and some other places where, it's like, well, these might not have been everything we wanted at the time, but if you look at it from the cumulative of the year, the beginning and end have been absolutely fantastic. And I think we have, again, Toph, just like you said, found that identity. And I'm very excited to see where we go in 2024.
I could not agree with you more. I think 2024 is looking very, it's making me excited. What we've seen in the end of 2023 and throughout 2023, it's getting me excited. Like Brook had mentioned, the McMahons aren't running it. Triple H is over creative now, and we're seeing the difference with a new person in charge of creative. We've seen, like I said, different levels throughout the year of pay-per-views and things like that. We've had some really good ones. We had some mid ones, but we have not had a really bad one. Like, we didn't have one this year that was like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Like, we've had some really bad pay-per-views where we like walk away not enjoying any part of it. It was like, this is stupid. I didn't like it. But we didn't have that this year. I felt like all of them were either really good or just okay. They were mid. They were, like you said, so mid. It was mid. Nothing was horrible. So I think we're on a trajectory where things are looking up. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see where we go. The start of 2023 was like, wow. It was like, okay, all right. And then now we have this end where it's like, oh, y'all making me really excited to look forward to see what's coming next. So
I would venture to say our worst 2023 event was better than any event that took place in 2021. Sans Wrestle.
Whoop. You heard it here?
You know what I mean? Like, so that's how big and how good we have gotten, right? Mm-hmm. Like, which if you were to name a bad card, okay, SummerSlam maybe wasn't that great, but that's also because of the fact that we had so much good surrounding it. And then maybe the Saudi shows drop balls a little bit. But, you know, the Saudi shows are almost skippable. I don't even know how canon they are, really. You know, like, it's so – the fact that WWE is putting their best foot forward, the fact that we are – you know this is what I love right now. This is the different type of boom, right, is that we're figuring out – I say we as if I'm like a member of the WWE, but, like, we've figured out that, like, the way to make it big is to make it look big. And you make it look big by visiting these places that you don't get to see. So that way you can have an elimination chamber that is one of the highest grossing live events WWE has ever put on that's not a WrestleMania. And I think if you continue that pattern, you make these premium live events something very, very special. Because since it's all free, I mean, you have to subscribe, but since it's all free, how do you differentiate the premium live event from just another Monday Night Raw? It's that. It's putting it in a giant stadium, giving it that big match feel, and having every match on that card mean something. Real stakes.
And I mean, on top of that, to further hammer home that point, you know, this year we went to places we don't. I mean, hasn't been a pay-per-view in Puerto Rico since 2005. We went back to the UK. You know, next year we're going to Australia and Germany.
Germany,
right? First pay-per-view in Germany ever. Probably, I think they said they're going back to the UK as well. You know, we're getting these really cool places that, because they don't go there very often, and I don't want to say that it's a good thing, but because they haven't been there often, the fans are going to be rabid for it.
Yes.
And because they're excited, we become more excited. Not to mention, the quality of the creative has went up hugely. You know, there's continuity. Turns are making sense again, like Drew McIntyre this year. That's some incredible stuff. And I'm just really excited for what's to come. And I think I mean, as much as we are predicting today, bear in mind, these are still predictions because, dear Lord, I mean, if you would have told me 5-6 months ago, well, not 6 months, like 7 months ago that Damian Priest was winning Money in the Bank, I would have laughed at you in the face. But now it totally made sense, and I'm fully on board with it, right? So I'm not, like, it's a hard time to predict some wrestling right now, and I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah. I will say this. I will say that being that it's just the four of us. It's our little opinions of what we think will happen or what we might want to happen. So we are not insiders in the WWE. We don't know what they have planned. We're not giving away anything. But we also want to know what you think. If you have any ideas of what your predictions are, I would love, love, love to hear from you. Put them in the comments below and let us know what your predictions for 2024 are. And we literally just went through like a couple of things, a couple of questions that we wanted to know. And but I don't want anybody to think, this is our disclaimer, we are not insiders with the wrestling and the WWE or anybody else. This is our opinion and our opinion only. And I think we should get into it because, yeah, why not? Why not? This is the Cup 2024 predictions. We have some things that we're going to ask, and everybody's going to give their thoughts about. So, first thing, let me pull up this first too, because I want everybody to, get all the banner stuff. Anyway, look before I go full screen, because I'm going full screen because I like to see these things myself. So, first things first, since we're coming into the first PLE of 2024, which will be the Royal Rumble, we want to know, which is my favorite.
Mine too.
PLE of all. I love the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is I think I like the Royal Rumble sometimes more than I like WrestleMania. It's like that for me.
Shout out to Pat Patterson, who was literally the GOAT for inventing this damn match.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, who do we think is winning the Royal Rumble in 2024? Let's start from the bottom and come to the top. Wes,
we gonna do men's or women's first?
Let's start with the men's first. Wes.
All right. Well, I'll say, coming out of the gate, I am under heavy opinion that CM Punk will be winning this year's Royal Rumble. I won't defend my opinion just yet, but I happen to know I might need to. That's all I'll say.
I co-sign that CM Punk is going to win the Royal Rumble, and I think it is you've got to capitalize on CM Punk right now. He is the biggest signing, and it's proven. Ratings have gone up, views have gone up, people care.
Brook.
It's tougher for me because if you would have asked me like a month ago who was winning the Royal Rumble, my answer would be completely different. But because times have changed and circumstances have changed, I will also be hopping aboard the CM Punk bandwagon on this one. I think it just makes the most sense. I could see a world where it is not Punk, but I think that is less likely now than I did a few months ago.
I would jump on the train with you all, but I'm not, because I dare to be different. I have my own train to catch. And I honestly, it is a reason for this. I honestly think Cody Rhodes is winning this Royal Rumble this year, and I have my reasons for it, because I think Cody winning so he can set himself up for WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, because as of right now, Cody Rhodes is on Raw, and so we need a chance for Cody to have that opportunity to fight Roman Reigns. The only way to do that is he wins the Royal Rumble and be able to pick his opponent. I understand why you all think CM Punk, because it makes sense. CM Punk wins this. CM Punk faces Seth Rollins for the champion at WrestleMania. That's going to happen regardless. I don't think CM Punk needs to win this Royal Rumble to have that match against Seth Rollins. That's happening. There's no universe where that doesn't happen. And since CM Punk is on Raw, that is where it's happening. If it's happened, it's going to happen whether he wins a Royal Rumble or Money in the Bank. It's happening. But I think he's not going to win. I think Cody's going to win so he can choose Roman Reigns. And then CM Punk is going to have a different opportunity to face Seth Rollins in some other way of capacity. But it will happen at WrestleMania.
So I would also like to opine here that if CM Punk does win I think it is imperative that CM Punk and Cody Rhodes are not in the ring at the same time. I think that they could create a problem. Like if Cody wins and CM Punk loses, you could end up in a situation where maybe we might find that people are not as fond of Cody as they are of somebody else, a la Daniel Bryan, Batista situation, or, Roman Reigns winning situation instead of, it could just...
I think the big difference there for me, though, is there was one option when the Daniel Bryan situation happened that year, because they only had the one world title at the time. They had already unified it with Cena and Orton. So I think now that fans are like, yeah, you don't have to win the Rumble to get a world title shot at Mania now, right? I feel like it's more open and people aren't going to be as irritated if one beats the other in like a final two situation, or like they get in the ring at the final four or something like that. Like, I don't think it's going to be as bad as that, especially considering I'm pretty sure if you asked most WWE fans right now who they wanted to fight Roman at Mania, they're going to say Cody. If you ask most people who they think is fighting Seth at Mania, they're going to pick Punk.
Absolutely.
So because of that, I don't think people are going to be as mad about it. Quite honestly, the men's Royal Rumble is nowhere near the most interesting for me, because the women's, oh my lord, there are like 5 people who I could reasonably see winning the women's Royal Rumble, maybe 6.
Okay. Well, speaking of the women's Royal Rumble, if that's all we need to say about that, Wes, do you have anything else you want to add about?
Maybe the only thing. Oh, sure. Well, it turns out nothing had to become to defend it, because apparently a lot of people are on the same page as me that CM Punk is probably going to be taking this. I actually want to feel very similarly to you, just switched, which is I think Cody versus Reigns is the more obvious of the championships that we'll be fighting for, and the one that's more cemented. And I think that Punk needs to win. So same idea, different ways of going about it. The only thing I would say to Toph is rest assured, Toph, you do not need to worry. From what I have found, because after WrestleMania, I was very worried that people were going to, just like in AEW, start turning on Cody. And, when LA Knight started coming about, I was worried that people would start turning on Cody. I have learned something. People are not going to be turning on Cody Rhodes. We have the new making of a new Super Cena about us. I can't wait. I was talking to Brook about this, but there's going to be a 9-year-old kid I meet at some event or something, and they're going to be a super roader, and all they're going to know about is the American Nightmare. They won't know about the Cody Rhodes that I grew up with. They'll only know the American Nightmares, and they'll be just as obsessed.
Shout out to Stardust. Great gimmick, right? 100%.
They will know nothing about undashing Cody Rhodes.
Oh, that's painful. That gimmick was actually really good. Okay, but women's Royal Rumble, I mean, that's a wide open field. Lots of good options. Because there's like 3 people who could reasonably challenge Rhea for the women's world title on Raw. There are 2 people who could challenge for the WWE women's title to Io on SmackDown. And I think any of those 5 ladies winning would be compelling. However, because I am selfish and I refuse to not pick her for the Royal Rumble this year, if she is healed, which according to her injury timeline she should be, my money is on Liv Morgan. I will argue with you all after. I have logic. I have managed to convince Wes that it at least makes sense. So I will argue with you all after you all give your picks.
That's new news to me.
You told me it made sense.
Well, I agree that there are a lot of women who could probably win the Royal Rumble this year. Although I have come to the thought that there's what I want and what is probably going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of our regular suspects, aka the horsewomen, aka maybe a returning horsewoman. Something crazy would be great. But I'm actually wanting some dissension, because of course the Royal Rumble can cause that. I want to see Bayley pick up the Royal Rumble and go in, and then maybe have to choose to perhaps fight or befriend Damage Control to a further extent. Maybe something extending that storyline.
I hate to agree, but I agree. I would love to see Bayley win this. I think that Bayley winning this match, and it's tough because Bayley versus Rhea would be fine, but I do think that the better story is Bayley turning on Io, or worse yet, Io and Damage Control turning on Bayley. Maybe Bayley wins and then she's going to pick Rhea and then they do something. I don't know. They could build the story however they want to build it. But Bayley having her WrestleMania moment when she is the left out horsewoman, she is the one that, had to just is unrecognized, right? The other three horsewomen have gotten accolade upon accolade upon accolade. And then you have Bayley. Bayley was the last to get called up. Bayley was the forgotten one. And she is probably the best on the mic out of all of them, right? Now,
no argument here.
I'll be bold. You don't have to, you can just say the best.
She is you
don't have to stop on the mic.
Becky does command the crowd a lot more. So, I mean, that's where it's arguable. But yes, Bayley, I think this is Bayley's moment, and I would mark out like crazy if Bayley were to win the Royal Rumble, barring a surprise return that may or may not happen. But that would be my prediction. And I'm excited. I will be in the building. One of those for cheers will be me.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I honestly actually agree. I think Bayley's winning. I think Bayley's taking it. I think this is her time to take it. It would be great for her to take it. I would hope, unless a certain someone comes back, then I want Bayley to take it. Now, if this certain someone comes back, then I want them to take it. But I do want Bayley to actually do this, and I think it's her time to do this. If the person who comes back who I want to come back doesn't win this, there's always money in the bank. So I'm okay with that.
We could say money in the banks.
See, yeah. I wasn't finished yet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Jeez, I just want my point across. But no, I think I want Bayley to win this because I feel like Bayley winning this she'll be able to start to separate herself a little bit from Damage Control, which I feel like needs to happen. And it will be great. What if she just decided, I don't know if Io would probably still have it at that time. She'll probably still have it by the end. But if she, would it be just great for Bayley to win and go against Io? I would just I think that's a great moment. So that's why I want Bayley to win. Now you may go.
So I mentioned earlier, there's 5 people I could reasonably see winning the Royal Rumble this year, winning the Women's Royal Rumble. Those people are, in no particular order, Jade Cargill, Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, Bayley, and if she's healthy, Dakota Kai. I could see that. Now, do I think that out of those people that Bayley and Liv and Becky are the 3 most likely? Yes. I thought Jade was not going to be in contention because she was going to be feuding with Charlotte into Mania. But now Charlotte's knee could be screwed up. We're not sure on the timetable on that. If that's actually a real injury, if it's a work, or what's going on there. So I'm not going to factor that in. However, it really comes down to, is the match going to be on SmackDown from the SmackDown winner winning the Rumble, or is it going to be on Raw? If it's going to be on SmackDown, then obviously Bayley is my pick. I think she makes the most sense. Totally agree. If it's on Raw, which I feel like they could probably tell a better story with all of Damage Control in an elimination chamber fighting to get that match against Io at WrestleMania, I think that'd be really cool and compelling. If it's on Raw, I don't want it to be Becky. She's already won the Rumble. I am so sick of her being in every single women's title match at Mania every year. I want a break. And also, Liv has a really compelling storyline to get there, right? She's the last person to pin Rhea Ripley. She got put on the shelf in storyline by Rhea, right? She is the person that took her out. They fought at WrestleMania in a tag team match for the women's tag belts 2 years ago. And they almost won, and then they lost. And then people forget that when Rhea joined Judgment Day, she beat the crap out of Liv before she did it and called Liv the weak link. There is a lot of storyline there that I don't want to say it's been like built long term, but there's enough there that if Triple H gets his like continuity, I love continuity grubby hands on it, he could make it really compelling. Also, they were the final two of the Rumble last year, right? Like, I don't know. It just, to me, it just seems like there's so much there. Whereas, like, Becky Rhea, just only thing that's really there is, oh, Becky Lynch should be in a title match at Mania. That's all that's really there for me. I just think it's more compelling for Liv to win. I would not be mad if Bayley won. I think that'd be awesome. I love Bayley to death. I just think there's another way they could get there with that group at Mania than having Bayley win the Rumble.
Okay. I do have a question now. Because every year at Royal Rumble, we do see a few NXT people join in on the Royal Rumble. I want to know, who do we think we'll see from in the men and the women's from NXT joining us in this year's Royal Rumble?
Yeah, well, I'll start off with the women's, I think. Do a little flip here. There's two big picks for women. Of course, obviously, one of them is Roxanne Perez.
Hell yeah!
I would be shocked not to see her. I'm very sick of waiting. I'm ready to be a Roxanne Perez fan on the main roster. The other one, of course, and I think the person who's most deserving is Tiffany Stratton. But of course, being that she's doing her best work in NXT right now, like debatably more than everyone on NXT, I wouldn't be shocked if they keep her in development a little longer and let her have almost like an Asuka level push when she comes to the main roster, maybe with something even more eventful than an appearance. So I don't know. I would probably go with Roxanne Perez if I had to put my money where my mouth is, but Tiffany Stratton would also not be a shock.
I agree that I think Tiffany Stratton would not be a shock, but I would like to see them hold off on Tiffany Stratton, same way as there's a male superstar in NXT. I'd like to see them hold off onto and not bring them up during the crowded WrestleMania season. Let them have their moment when a lot of the bigger people go away, so that way they can rise to the top because other people are in a break and they have their moment. That's what I'm hoping for Tiffany Stratton. Give us a good, solid, like Tiffany Stratton debut match at Backlash, followed by a big match at whatever Saudi show follows that. That's what I want to see. So as far as the women goes from NXT, I'm not certain. Honestly, I don't know. I really, it could be any of them. Half of the women from NXT are probably going to be in this Rumble because WWE has dropped the ball on the women this past year. That is the biggest faux pas. I think certain women have been elevated, but overall, I feel like the women have not been as big as they have been.
So as much as I would like to say Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton, because I think at least Roxanne is a borderline lock. And if Tiffany shows up, I won't be surprised. I'm going to pick a curveball. Recently on NXT, she was in a tag match with Alpha Academy, and she body slammed Otis.
That is who I'm about to say.
So I'm going to go with Lash Legend.
That is who I was going to say.
Yeah, Lash has had a bit of a, she had a pretty big journey when she first came out on NXT. She'll even say it. She was not that good in the ring. And I think she's improved a lot. She's really leaned more, instead of being like a brawler, she's a lot more of a powerhouse now, which I think suits her. She's very tall, suits her size very well. She is very good on the mic. And for a while, people were just saying just make her a manager because she's a very good talker. But I think she's finally starting to like shave off some of the edges and becoming a more well-rounded performer. So I could see her just showing up at the Rumble, having like 3 eliminations, getting out people who like we know weren't gonna win on the main roster, people like Nikki and like Tegan Knox or whoever, right? And just throwing them out of the ring and getting like a bit of that rub and getting her a little bit more name value in NXT before they call it Metaphor. Because dear Lord, if you have not been following Metaphor on NXT, Do yourself a favor and check them out. They are hysterical, and I've loved every minute of it.
Yep.
Yeah. I was gonna say Lash as well. I think Lash Legend is going to come out, do her thing. I don't like. I'm not saying they're gonna pull her into the main roster anytime soon,
I don't
but
think they should.
I don't think they should either. I think they should let her stay in development, get her, keep rubbing out those rough edges, and I think she'll get there. But I think she coming out in the Rumble will give her that exposure that she needs, that people could be like, okay, we see her, we see who she, we see what she does, and then she goes back and continue to grow and develop. And I say maybe next year she can come up, but I think she's on the way. That was my choice. For the men, I don't know. I'm not
Tyler
sure.
Bate. He just had a North American title match with Dragon Lee on NXT this past week. Did not win that match. I don't know what else they can do with him on that brand. He's kind of felt like floating adrift for a while. Like, he was in Iron Survivor at Deadline, but other than that, like, he really hasn't been doing much. He is one of the most talented people that they have in NXT. Go watch his matches with Pete Dunne from back in the day, back when NXT UK was the thing. Go watch his matches with Gunther. Insanely talented guy. He's in his mid-20s. Just call him up. He's a good talker. And even if you don't have full confidence in him talking, just give him a manager or don't make him talk. 2 options right there. But yeah, Tyler Bate, and not even just a call up, just let him come up and debut in the Rumble and then come up. I think that'd be great for him.
I think we'll get Ilya Dragunov, NXT champion, will definitely be in the Rumble. I think that's been a tradition. I can't recall back in the top, but I believe the NXT champion has been in every Rumble since we've had NXT champions almost. And I would like for them. I don't want to see Braun Breaker because I would like for them to hold off on Braun Breaker and have him, same with Tiffany Stratton, have Braun Breaker come in after WrestleMania during that time. So if they can keep Braun Breaker off of television, this is
yeah. Carmelo's coming too, by the way. That's what I think too.
Didn't he get called up? I thought he's called up.
Not quite yet, but I think he's on his way. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if you watched NXT this past Tuesday, but there's been a storyline going around that involves Carmelo and Trick Williams, and Ilya's now involved, and whatever happens with that, I'm pretty sure after that feud, Melo's going to get called up. But I mean, hell, Dragon Lee's the North American champion right now, and he's been on the main roster for 2 months. So whatever.
The North American Championship is basically the European Championship.
Yeah, if you can be with anybody, nobody really cares. But
yeah,
I mean, honestly, nobody really cares.
It can be with anybody, and nobody.
When it comes to men's Royal Rumble, I have 2 thoughts on it. Men's Royal Rumble. First of all, I just want to see more NXT in the Royal Rumble anyway. Because we see a lot of people from Raw and SmackDown all the time. I've watched Judgment Day come out on Raw and say we own Raw 500 times. I've seen the Bloodline story 500 times. I've seen every person on both companies a lot. But to someone who doesn't stan NXT or watch it all the time, it's always refreshing to watch Brook go, hey, that person, that them? And I'm like, no, but I'm glad you do, and I'm glad that I can start to know them through this Rumble, because that way, when they come to the company, to the main roster in a year from now, I'll know who they are. I'll be like, oh, that's that person. This is great. Can't wait to, see how they've developed since the last time at the Rumble. Again, but men's wrestlers coming from NXT, besides a lot of them, I want to see many of them. How about one of the most prominent champions of recent time in the NXT sphere, Dominic Mysterio?
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
And we moving on. Because honestly,
that's what's happening. You don't want to admit it. But
the point Wes made about there being more NXT people in the men's Rumble,
I agree with that.
We forget, this past year, there were none.
Yeah.
0. Yeah. Not a 1. Unless you count Booker T, which, as much as I love my man, no. Yeah, so
I would also like to say, I think this might be the first time that we may get Jimmy and Jey Uso in the Royal Rumble.
Have they never been in the Rumble?
I don't think they've ever been in the Royal Rumble.
No.
And now that they are individual superstars and we have to build somehow to get them to face each other again, I think this is it.
Oh, we're definitely going to have that. We're going to have a moment where they're both in there looking at each other, trying to decide if they go fight. Yo, for sure we're having that. For sure we're having that. But okay. Money in the Bank is also coming up. And we spent a lot of time on Royal Rumble, so we won't spend as much time because we don't want to keep you guys here all night. So who is winning Money in the Bank? Let's start with Brook this time.
Dear God. Okay. Money in the Bank is getting harder and harder to call these past few years. Like last year, I didn't get it right then. Well, I got Biggie, but I didn't get Liv as much as that pained me. And then this past year, we thought it was going to be LA Knight, and then he didn't win. And then the women's one, we had no idea. So, I mean, Lord, it's tough. But I'm going to give my shout to... For the women, I'm going to say Chelsea Green. I think that would be really fun and funny, and I would love to see it. And then for the men... Let's go with, because I want this. I know it will never happen, but I have no idea, so I'm just going with what my heart wants right now. Xavier Woods.
Interesting. Topher?
I will say, and I actually say this with all seriousness, I think we will get a post-Judgment Day Dirty Dom Mysterio. I think he will amp up the heel. I think that Dirty Dom is going to, and I think Dirty Dom as the Money in the Bank, even if he doesn't end up successfully cashing it in, I think is the next perfect evolution of his character. So that's my prediction for the men's Rumble, the men's Money in the Bank. The women's is much harder because they have not been too kind to women Money in the Bank winners, and they get it and they have it for like less than 60 days. I don't know. I honestly don't know who they would give it to. Whoever is peaking at the moment, I think they may turn around. Bianca Belair has never won Money in the Bank. They may just give it to her to add to the accolade. Or we could get an NXT woman coming in that would win Money in the Bank, that would create, some drama, or, maybe some returning blood.
Yep. Well, let's look at it this way, okay? One of the reasons why is it that Money in the Bank has become so elusive to predict? The reason why is because look at LA Knight. They were like, oh, we need to give Money in the Bank to push him, because that's how we've always thought as wrestling fans. Well, in today's WWE, if they want to push you, they'll just push you. They don't need to give you Money in the Bank. They don't need to give you a Royal Rumble. They don't need to give you jack crap. They can just push you when they want. So I think Money in the Bank fits in this really weird niche where they're going to try to give it to stars where they can't think of a reason, so they give them Money in the Bank. That's kind of where I think this is going to go. I will say eventually we're going to see the Logan Paul Money in the Bank briefcase. That won't be this year. It won't be next year, but we will eventually see it. Mark my words. But this year, the person who I want to win men's Money in the Bank is Santos Escobar. I think giving it to a heel, I think Dominic might be a little too close to the Judgment Day, a little too close to our previous Money in the Bank contender. But I think Santos would be a good heel, and I think he would use the Money in the briefcase well. Maybe even for like an evil LWO. I have no idea. And sticking with that theme, the women's Money in the Bank, the person who I think I want to see the most is Zelina Vega. She has, in my opinion, the best character working of any women wrestler today, right now. She is the GOAT of character working. If she does not find a future in the main event of WWE, she will find it in Hollywood. I think she's fantastic at character work. I think she's good in the ring. And she puts too much into the brand to not give her a reward soon. So kind of like how the Liv Morgan surprise was a Liv Morgan surprise, I think the same thing is going to happen to Zelina at some point in time.
I agree. Zelina Vega was actually my pick for Money in the Bank this year because I feel like she has put in the work. She is somebody who is going to be a surprise, but I think she has definitely put in all the work and the makings to somebody who's going to hold the Money in the Bank, and I think she's going to do it in such a way that people are going to enjoy her holding the Money in the Bank. Like, I don't know how long they're gonna let her do it because, you know, like we said, like Topher said, they don't let the women hold things that long, and so I don't know how long she's gonna hold it, but I know it's going to be entertaining when she does it. She's going to show up in places and they already look at her like, girl, please. Like, Rhea looks at her like, you ain't nobody. And then if you look at, and Io is in a very era, in her era where she's just like, I'm good. I know I'm good. I am dangerous in the sky. You can't beat me. And so I would love to see, or if it's whoever has it after, like if it's Bailey or whoever has it, they don't look at Zelina Vega as somebody who is, I guess, maybe worthy to take the belt off of them. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how she plays it up. Because like you say, her character work is great. So she's going to do that. As the men goes, I don't know. It's like, it's so unpredictable. But for who I would like to see do it, I don't think it's going to happen. But I would love to see someone like a Montez Ford win Money in the Bank. Mm-hmm. And he will have it to, with the whole Bobby Lashley and all that Dawkins, the Street Profits thing. I would love to see him hold it and see what he does with it. I think it'd also be a good place to help promote the new Montez Ford, Bianca Belair reality show coming out if Montez gets some shine and like starting this year. So it can only help the brand that they're trying to push in far as other realms besides the ring. So I would love to see a Montez Ford win Money in the Bank.
Regardless of who wins, what I want to see out of Money in the Bank going forward, because I do think that it's stale. It's gotten a little stale in a lot of ways. I think that the matches are always great and the excitement is there, but the execution has become relatively stale over the last couple of years. I would like to see it go to somebody that they feel has potential that can then turn around and be given the correct freedom to use the Money in the Bank briefcase as an adequate enough prop to help elevate their talent with their promo work, their ability to surprise and all of that. I just want to see somebody get actually elevated with Money in the Bank, and for the Money in the Bank to not just be this thing that is a prop and not a tool.
And to prove your point, Topher, the best Money in the Bank champion and the best Money in the Bank haver or wearer of all time was just that story, and that was Dolph Ziggler. And so if Dolph Ziggler can be given that briefcase, anybody can be given that briefcase.
Why did I know you were going to bring Dolph Ziggler up into this podcast? I don't know why. Maybe it's the Westradamus in me, but I knew Dolph Ziggler's name was going to be mentioned. Just like I know Samantha Irvin's name is always going to be mentioned on this podcast because she is the best ring announcer. Period. Okay. It's required by law for us to do that. But next, who is jumping ship? Who is leaving WWE going to AEW or AEW coming into WWE? Who we think we got going on in this category? Because honestly,
I got a few ideas.
Shocking. Yeah. Brook has a few ideas.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Okay, out of the 4 people on this panel, only 2 of us even remotely keep up with AEW. So there's that. And unless Topher and you have changed your stance in the past 3 weeks. So yeah, I didn't think so. So to say in the downswing, that's when you change. I'm kidding. Jumping ship from WWE to AEW, I don't really know of anyone I would say that I think has a good chance of doing that is currently signed. I could see a world where Dolph Ziggler shows up in AEW. And Mustafa Ali. I could see both of them. When it comes to AEW to WWE, though, I have ideas. There are plenty. One of them we'll talk about later. But the big one, that is not the other one that I fully believe in and should happen, is also somebody I think that would be a really cool Royal Rumble surprise. Evan Bourne. Matt Sydal has been languishing in AEW since they started. He has been on a contract there since 2019. Okay? Man has done nothing in that company except tag team with his brother. Okay? Now, granted, is he a little bit older than he used to be? Yeah. Is he in his, like, late 30s? Sure. But guess what? CM Punk is in his, like, mid-40s. Age is not really a thing anymore in wrestling, apparently. Ric Flair just wrestled in his 70s. Now, I'm not saying that should be the norm, but he did do it. So there's that. But it just makes sense to me. I don't know if WWE will use him any better, but I missed a decade ago when Tyson Kidd went down to NXT, and he was like the veteran in NXT. NXT needs that, right? And right now it's Baron Corbin of all people. And, like, as much as I don't really have opinions towards Corbin, good or bad, I feel like you need somebody that's got a little bit more of, like, a modern-day style to keep up with the NXT people. Because they're not learning, you know, that style of wrestling anymore from, like, WWE in the mid-2000s. They're learning this, like, modern-day technical, strike-heavy, whatever style that we're calling today. And Matt Sydal is that. Like, he does everything. So I would love to see him come just back to WWE, even if it's just to be the NXT veteran that just kind of like shepherds the locker room.
So my prediction for who I think could go from AEW to WWE, I think there are plenty of stars that are on the rise. I don't know, and this is barring contract stipulations, right? Because I don't know who's under what contracts or what that's gonna, you know, hinder things or make things whatever.
Hinder?
Well, yeah, hinder.
You said hinder. We don't hinder gender.
We don't hinder the gender. I believe that we could see the Acclaimed popping back over in WWE. You know, the one Billy Gunn is good friends with the man in charge of creative now, who does seem to be making the the land of the opportunity over at WWE seem a lot more brighter. So I do think that's something that we could see, and I think the Acclaimed have what it takes to be WWE superstars. I don't know when it's going to happen. Eventually, we will see MJF in WWE, and I am looking forward to that day. As far as going the other way, this is going to be a bold prediction. But when I try to think about who was a major WWE star that was the face of the company for a little bit, you know, had big pop, big name. Maybe WWE didn't create them, but they're kind of on a downward slide and there just really isn't a spot for them.
Don't you say it.
What?
Don't say it. I know. I have a gut feeling I know who you're going to say. Don't say it.
AJ Styles.
Oh!
AJ Styles, I could see AEW cashing in on him. You know, he's floundering in WWE right now. There's just a lot of big stars. AJ Styles, he's going to have his big match with CM Punk. Then he's going to go off into the sunset, right? And then he's going to go over to AEW, have a couple of dream matches, and then be done.
You are hurting my soul by even suggesting such a thing, but I get it.
Am I wrong?
No,
You're not. I don't. Okay. Do I think he's going to do it? No, because I'm pretty sure his contract's not up next year. But do I want him to go? No. No.
So, I actually did just a teensy bit of research for this one.
Ooh.
And I hate to tell you, Brook, but AJ Styles' contract is going up summer of 2024.
Oh, that's
so. One of my predictions is that we are going to see where all the Bullet Club action is. Mm-hmm. We are going to watch AJ Styles move over to the other brand.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to AEW, I only have one prediction. And that one prediction is that MJF will not be going to the Fed. Not anytime soon. I'm pretty adamant about this one, and the reason why is because one of Tony Khan's things is that he likes to throw money. He likes to throw money lots of places. He likes hush money, but more importantly, he likes to bribe. And I do not see a world where AEW does not empty their entire bank account, keeping MJF in their roster. He is everything to that company right now. There's never a world where WWE did not renew their contract with Cena. there's never a world where they are not renewing their contract with MJF. But quickly, on rapid fire, there are some people that we need to think about. Here's one of them, and these are just some names, that contracts that are ending in 2024 that we need to even put on the mark. Alexa Bliss is losing her contract in 2024. What's she doing in the company right now? Not a whole lot.
Last I heard, being pregnant. I'm pretty sure she's pregnant.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm about to say she's
so
a mother.
She comes back to what? And I hate to say that, but she comes back. I'm not sure the company's going to have a lot of place for her. Other wrestlers that could, that their contracts are expiring in 2024. Bryan Danielson in AEW. We could see him coming back to the Fed. The AEW, as you said, is on the downswing. Who knows what's going to happen with Bryan Danielson, because who doesn't want to see Daniel Bryan make one last return to the WWE? If CM Punk can do it, Daniel Bryan can do it. And so I would also maybe be in favor of seeing that. But those are just some names to think about. And I mean, there are crazy ones that I could get into, like Sheamus, but there's no way, right? But what if?
I don't even want to consider Sheamus leaving either. He
No.
always
The most
feels like
confident
a
one,
WWE
by the way, is AJ Styles.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you?
I tend to agree with that. I think AJ Styles is the most confident I've been. Like I don't really, like I said, I don't really watch AEW, so I don't even know who's over there. But I know that AJ Styles has been, as we say, floundering a bit in the WWE. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen anything. He's like invisible. And I'm like, he's still AJ Styles. Why is he so invisible in this company? And I think leaving and going to the AEW, he'll be huge over there. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a name like AJ Styles in your company where they are floundering? They are going
Bullet Club Gold. AJ Styles versus the Golden Lovers. I mean, there's just so much.
I mean, okay, the reason I don't think AJ is going to go, if that is the person we are highly debating here, is that, one, if you look at the two people in wrestling he is the absolute closest to that is not named Christopher Daniels, they're both in WWE, okay? Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are both there. Now, granted, are they on TV? Their contract's not up for a while because they just re-signed at the beginning of the year. But are they on TV a lot? No. Is that allegedly because AJ may or may not be out with an injury? We don't know. But what I can say is I remember hearing a while back when his contract expired last time that AEW tried to get him, and he told them he was happy where he was at. And he is getting up there. He is in his mid-40s. Again, wrestling ages don't matter anymore, but they do a little bit. So I hope he doesn't leave. I really hope he doesn't.
That's my most confident. But
we'll
see.
Yeah, we'll get a big program out of AJ with Punk and Cody separately.
Yes,
I believe.
I agree. But we talked about this a little bit, but we don't know. We touched on it. But who do we think will get called up from NXT to the main roster? Not just in a Royal Rumble, but actually come to the main roster.
This is what I envision for Braun Breaker. Don't bring him in the Rumble. Don't have him on any of the main roster stuff. The Raw after Mania, when you have Seth Rollins whining about his defeat to CM Punk, right? And Braun Breaker comes in and destroys Seth Rollins and puts Seth Rollins on the shelf for a little bit. And Braun Breaker is the new heel face of Raw because we need a big heel, and Braun Breaker is heel Braun Breaker is phenomenal, and that is my bold prediction of what we'll see from the men, and then of course Tiffany Stratton for the women.
Yeah, all I want is actually.
Go ahead.
That's it.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I have no. I have a lot of wants, but I only have one need, and that need is Axiom. Give me Axiom on the main roster all the time, please. Give him a U.S. title too. Have him beat Logan Paul. I'd be down. That's it.
This is something we didn't put on the list, but because WrestleMania predictions are going to be later after the Rumble probably.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like people I would love to see fight Logan Paul for the US title at Mania, I mean, I think it's going to be LA Knight. But if like LA Knight gets injured or something happens and they can't work that match, Axiom is a very good choice. But because I was going to say Axiom, I'm not going to say Axiom now because that name has been said. So I'll dip into my well of NXT talent. The entirety of the metaphor, but like around Survivor Series, like late next year, would be great. If we're not doing that, couple of other really cool options. You could throw out somebody like Charlie Dempsey because he's William Regal's son. He's very talented, very good technical wrestler. Have him and Drew Gulak come back to the main roster and start tearing up the tag division. They're great. If you don't want to call up Charlie Dempsey, there's a lot of really talented women. Amari Miller is finally coming back, and I could not be more thrilled. Super talented. She tore her ACL at the beginning of the year, and it's been like a long-term recovery for her, but she's finally back. Just had a match on Level Up this past week. I cannot wait for her to come back. I don't know, tons of really cool options. I hope they actually do something with Odyssey Jones because he got called up last year, and we have not seen this man. So, I mean, I don't know. But lots of really cool options, and I'm just excited. Also, allegedly, Von Wagner is going to be on Raw on Monday. So, that's cool.
Cool. I don't know. I already said I think Carmelo's coming. So, he's coming. If he ain't already, he's...
Lana, when are we getting Wesley? I know he's injured right now. Well, you have to imagine he's quick to come soon, right?
Yeah, I think Wesley is coming.
Yeah, that injury he had, I don't know if you know how bad it is. He's going to be out on the shelf pretty much all of next year.
Well,
he's getting like some sort of, it's back surgery, I know that. He's going to, I think they said 10 months minimum he's going to be out for.
Oof.
So yeah.
2025.
2025, yeah. Wesley.
Yeah.
That's my man right there. I want him back.
I do like Wesley. I want Wesley to come back, but I want him to be healthy and his injury
all right,
to be fully.
Royal Rumble 2025.
2025 Wesley. Wesley. I would be down for that. I would be down for that. So, who will have the breakout year next year? Because this year was all LA Knight. This year, I don't think you could not say this year without mentioning LA Knight and his breakout year. So, who is going to be the next LA Knight next year to have this breakout year that's just going to be amazing?
It kind of already happened a little bit this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now that we have Akira Tozawa in the group to tag team with with Otis, it is finally going to be Chad Gable's time. I think, hopefully, I pray that incredible match he had with Gunther on Raw last month caught the eye of creative, and they're going to give him something to sink his teeth into singles-wise. Let him win the IC title off Gunther. Something. Please. This man deserves the world, and the fans love him. If they give him a push, the fans will rally behind him just as much as they have with LA Knight. Chad Gable.
I think babyface-wise, I think that we will have, and when we say breakout, we're talking about moving from mid-card to being main eventer, right? I think we will start to see Gunther as a face throughout the next year, headlining some PLEs. I also think that as a heel, I truly believe, and I know I've touted this and I have joked about this, but I truly, truly believe that Dominic Mysterio is the next great heel in this business. His heel work is so good. It is so classic. He is like all of the best. He can wrestle, but he's also all of the best parts of like your heel Ric Flair, your heel Bobby Heenan, your heel, like he's got that like squirminess about him that just makes you want to see him get his butt kicked. And I can't think of any other, like, other than the Miz from like a couple of years ago, of like just a true heel. And that is Dirty Dom. And I think we will actually see him get even bigger this year than he has been in the year before.
Sure. I have a late next year opinion and I have an early next year opinion. One of the people who I think is going to get pushed through NXT like a rocket, go into the main roster, and by the end of next year will be a common name, is going to be our boy Lexus King / Ryan Pillman Jr. I would not be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he spends 6 months or less in development. He is a very developed talent the way he is. He could probably get developed for an entire year and take over the world, but it might even be less time than that. The other one, more short term, is Solo Sikoa.
What? If you don't get out of my head, like, seriously.
Because, you think about it. After the bloodline crumbles, where can Solo go? Only to the top. Only to the top of the card. And we are going to be watching Solo after he breaks free of the bloodline, after it's defeated. And we are going to watch him be the breakout talent probably of next year. Either probably as a heel, or we are going to watch him be the breakout talent for at least the next 6-7 months, I think.
Like that, literally, you are in my head. That was literally what I was going to say. It's like Solo is going to be the next breakout star for me. I was like, he is going to, like you said, once the bloodline crumbles, Roman Reigns is gone. I think Paul Heyman stays with Solo. I think because Solo needs somebody like a Paul Heyman, because he still has to have that enforcer mentality, but in a solo performance. Like, he has to be the star, but when you have somebody like a Paul Heyman at your side, you go be a star. You're going to be a star when you have a Paul Heyman by your side, and I think that would be great for Solo. I could see Solo going maybe for first getting the IC title first, you know what I mean, and then taking that and just elevating up to the top of the card. One
of the few people who I think is on the short list to beat Gunther.
Yes,
Gunther,
exactly.
Because after it falls, I could see the Paul Heyman Solo Sikoa going and flattening Gunther.
I can see it. That was my prediction as well. As far as the women, I'm still not sure. That one is still a little open for me, but I do think Solo.
Can I call a women's tag team real quick? Because Hayden Carter and Katana Chance, they have been doing some really cool stuff on Raw lately. I love their new tag finish. That thing looks great. If they win the tag belts next year, I could see them having a good reign with them and actually doing something with the belts. Again, we've talked about it before, where WWE never does anything with the women's tag belts, except for that 3-month period of time when Raquel and Liv had them this year. They have literally done nothing with those belts ever. But I gotta have a little bit more faith in Triple H than I did in Vince. And because of that, part of me thinks that maybe Triple H is like, okay, let's finish out this story with Chelsea and Piper and get the belts off them to a different tag team, an established tag team, and then have a proper division. And I think Caden and Katana, they were longest reigning NXT women's tag champs. They're starting to get over because they're getting wins on Raw. I could definitely see a world where they win the belts and have a really big year and make those belts mean something.
Okay.
That's very fair. And when it comes to women, for my prediction of breakout, I think what Rhea Ripley showed is to be a breakout women's star, all you have to do is show yourself and be as much of yourself as possible and have that really come across to the camera. Out of all the women in the division, I think the person who I feel really comes across to the camera well and shows a lot of her personality is going to be Zelina Vega. And so that would be my prediction.
Work. All right. So we've gotten to the point where it's our predictions. What we think is going to happen in 2024. We'll get through this. Up first is me, I guess. I said I think Sasha Banks is coming back in 2024. I just think she is. I think her contract over wherever she is coming to an end. I don't even know if she has. And she's been rumored that she talked with somebody who's in charge of creative now, and they're having conversations. So that's what I think is happening in 2024 for Sasha. I think we'll see Miss Banks come on back home where she belongs. Period.
I pray so hard. I miss her so much. Miss Mercedes Moné, I love you to death, but Sasha Banks is how I fell in love with you, and I want to fall back in love even deeper. You and Trinity. Let her come back too.
Yep. Well, we'll talk about that later because I think some predicted something's happening. But go ahead.
I hope we get her at the Rumble. I hope it's that soon.
Mm-hmm. Period.
I pray.
Topher is next. Oh no, Wes is next.
Nope.
What?
Yeah. So let me tell you, we have CM Punk back.
Yep.
AJ Lee did not have tenure in AEW, and I don't think we're going to be getting a full-time appearance from AJ Lee back. But I had to hold it for this. I know she's coming to the Rumble.
I think so too.
Maybe we see her have, a 2-month feud with somebody and then leave the company. I don't care. She just has to come back. It's the law. I don't make the laws. I just enforce them.
I look here. I agree with you because I feel like because as long as The Undertaker was coming up in there, Michelle McCool was right up in that Rumble every year. Every time The Undertaker said he wanted to come back and do something, she was sitting right there. Mother. She sat in the audience with her daughter and jumped in there with some Uggs on. So I need AJ Lee to step up her game. Come on back. Your man is back. Y'all can be in Tampa together, and you can roll out in there and give us 10, 12 minutes or whatever you want to give us in that ring, eliminate one person, and then you can go. Honestly, but if we don't see you skipping down that long, long ramp to light it up, I'm going to be pissed off. Your man is back. I need AJ Lee to come on back in there and skip on down with her little Daisy Dukes on and get on in that ring. Period.
My only requirement, if AJ Lee comes back, is that we get Caitlyn in the Rumble too, because you cannot have AJ Lee without having Caitlyn. I love them both. Obviously, I like AJ more, but her and Caitlyn had one of, if not the best match for the Divas title ever. Their careers were so intertwined for such a long period of time that I just feel like if you have AJ, Caitlyn would do it. You know she would do it. She was in the Mae Young Classic a few years ago. There's no bad blood there. Caitlyn would be great too. If you have AJ, just get Caitlyn, and I will be happy. I will be.
My only request is one easy one, which is we already have a woman named Rhea Ripley saying that she runs the women's division. There was a woman before her who ran the women's division, and nothing would make me happier than watching AJ Lee dismantle any woman who exists on the mic without having to think.
Period.
Oh, AJ Lee versus Rhea Ripley would be a great feud.
I would love it. I would love it. Up next is Topher.
Matt Cardona returns to WWE in 2024. We saw it with Drew McIntyre. We saw it with Cody Rhodes. When somebody goes to the independents and they get huge, they come back to WWE bigger than ever. Matt Cardona is the biggest indie star, the most successful, highest paid, non-major television contracted star out there, period. And I think it's time that him and his little action figures get their butts back home to WWE and give him one last big run as the star that he is now. And just leave it at Matt Cardona. He doesn't need to go back to being Zack Ryder. We know. We don't need the woo woo woo. We know who. All right.
Well, to be fair, his wife's already there. So she's holding a championship right now too. So Shouts
I
to
mean,
Chelsea. Shouts
if
to
I'm a
Chelsea
green,
Green.
I'm going to say about Matt the same thing I said about AJ. Your wife is here. You need to come home. AJ, your man is here. You need to come home. Period. I just feel like where your man or your woman is, you need to be. I'm looking at you, Trinity. Your man is here. I need you here. Matt, your woman is here. I need you here. AJ, your man is here. I need you here. I don't think we need to separate people. Same thing, Andrade. Your woman is here.
Speaking
we
of,
need you here. Period.
Speaking
Damn.
of, I think Andrade's coming back next year.
Period.
Okay, couple of reasons. One, his AEW contract is literally almost up. They have used him like garbage. Okay, he has been like he debuted, he was there, it was great. Then he's gone, and he's been off TV. Then he was in the whole Matt Hardy thing, and now he's doing whatever, and it's really boring. And he deserves so much better. He was a Triple H guy in NXT. He is married to Charlotte. Like, how is he not already back in the company? Much less like whatever. His contract ends at the end of the year. Allegedly, he's looking to go to CMLL for a little bit, but it's going to be on a per appearance basis because that's always how CMLL is. And he can come to WWE whenever. I would be shocked if we don't get him at least in the Rumble this year. I just want him back. I miss the guy. I love his work in the ring. He's so talented. One of my favorite wrestlers that came out of that era of NXT. And he really never did get his fair shake on the main roster. And I feel like now, if he goes there, at minimum, he's getting better than he did last time, as long as they don't shove him into some feud that he doesn't need to be a part of. But yeah, Andrade, come back next year, please.
Your woman is here. You need to be here.
I agree. More evidence of AEW just signing stars for the sake of signing stars and then just letting them flounder. So come on home, Andrade. You've got a name to be made here in WWE.
And your woman got some clout. Let's be honest. Charlotte Flair could get anything done around there, period.
Everyone said that Tony Khan knows how to spend money. They didn't say when or where he knows how to spend his money.
Right.
What do we want to spend money? And also on top of that, you said something and it made me think about it, and I forgot to bring her up. Trinity, probably maybe 50-50 coming back. Mickie James, almost a guaranteed lock at this point. She's not with Impact anymore. Her man's is in the Fed. Come through. That's all I have to say. Because she's
her
married
man's is here?
Yeah, Nick Aldis, the GM of SmackDown, is her husband.
Her man is here, so she needs to be here. Period. Look, my mantra never changes. If your woman, your man is here, and they making the most money over here, you need to make that money and get over here too. Period. I don't care who you are. Just make your money, get your bag, go to where your wife or your husband is.
There's more bread in the Fed.
Period. I mean, Mickie James is here. Mickie James is here. Period. Her man.
Mickie James Royal Rumble.
Period. I can actually see that because her man is running the whole SmackDown. She'll be here, and she knows she gonna get matches. Let's not play. So Mickie, come on over and get your money. Trinity, come back home and make that. I mean, it was nice. You champion for Impact. That's cute. Come on home and make your money. Your man needs you. He's floundering a little bit. He needs you a little bit. So I think y'all work better together. I'm just saying.
You're floundering a bit. He's floundering a bit.
He's floundering a bit, but he need that foundation, and she just does it for him. So come on home, make that money. Period. Up next. I think CM Punk and Cody Rhodes will be champions in 2024. I think Cody is winning the Rumble. I think CM Punk is going to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And we go have two new champions at WrestleMania 2024. Period. That's happening. I don't even think it's a prediction. For me, it's law.
That's not a prediction. It's a spoiler.
Period. It is a spoiler. It is. Because that's what's happening.
Getting some of that Paul Heyman-ish out here.
we may even get. I mean, this is WrestleMania 40, okay? And if you look back at the history of WrestleManias that end in a 0, this is the perfect ending for WrestleMania.
Ooh.
Give it to your best wrestlers.
You mean
Even numbered, or at WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart.
Bret Hart.
Yep. WrestleMania 20, Eddie
Big
Guerrero,
Guerrero.
and somebody else. WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan, and now here we are. Punk and
WrestleMania 40, you give both titles to Randy Orton.
Randall Keith.
Daddy's home.
Daddy's home,
He's
baby.
the best wrestler. My bad.
Daddy's bag. That's
Daddy's bag. That's
Daddy's back is over. I love Randy Orton. I'm
Speaking
sorry.
of back,
Thank
Jey
you.
Uso
Is
has-
back.
Jey Uso got yeet back.
Yes, he did.
Yay.
Yeet back. Yeet. I was very happy about that.
That Jeremy McDivitt, man. He's really good.
I said, and for
Or Scott
Randall.
Hall. I don't know.
Randy Orton, this man is just, he just does it for me without even trying to do it for me. That man just said 2 words and I melted in my whole seat. I was just like, don't ever sit there and say daddy's back when I'm watching, because that just took me to a whole level. But I love Randy Orton, so period. But yeah, that's what's happening for me. That's a spoiler. That is a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Wes, why are we always together? What are you following me
I'm
for?
telling you, it's just got to be what it is. It's just what it is, because, like you said, it is not an opinion. It is a law. And so, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes are going to be the final 2 in this Rumble. It's not even a prediction. Now, who's going to win that? It doesn't matter, because this is what we're seeing at WrestleMania. And for that sake, maybe we see someone completely different. I have no idea. But all I know is this is what we're seeing at Rumbles, and this is what we're seeing as champions. These 2 right here. These are our champs, and I'm totally with you.
And I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
Topher.
I believe that Gunther will win the world title in 2024. It's not going to be at WrestleMania. I'm sorry. CM Punk came back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We may have been building. I saw a world pre CM Punk where we got a Gunther putting, title for title, yada yada yada. But that's not happening. Sorry. I do believe though that I don't think that CM Punk is a long-term champion. I think that we need. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what post Bloodline looks like with 2 fighting champions at the same time. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that CM Punk is not going to be a champion for a long time. I think there's a little bit too much risk in having Punk as a long-term champion for right now, because he does tend to be moody. Let's ride things out for the way they are. Let him win at Mania. But I do think we see Gunther coming in and taking that new spot. And maybe Gunther's a great first opponent for CM Punk too, So that's my prediction.
I want this to become reality, just for the record. I like, because I know all these predictions because I made the PowerPoint, and when I was looking through it, I was like, oh, yeah, I need that. I need that in my life. I miss the Ring General being the Ring General, right? Like being the guy. So yeah, please let him do that, please.
So,
okay, so what the hell is going on with the tag belts? Okay, they have been together for almost 2 years now. Okay, it was May of 2022, so they've been together for over a year and a half now, owned by the same tag team. They are still being called the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Occasionally, they get referred to as the WWE Tag Team Champions. Just put them either make them one belt, uno belto, and have it be on Raw with the Judgment Day, and let SmackDown have a new tag title set. Because guess what? That's what we just did with the world title, and it worked, and it was great, and everybody was happy. I'm tired of teams carrying around 2 sets of belts. It annoys me. I'm not gonna lie. And you remember last time this happened? You remember what happened? That's when they brought back the nickel belt, baby. The bronze one, the one that I think it was the Colognes were the first unified tag champs back in the day. So let Damian and Finn or whoever's the champs, whenever they decide to do this, have one set of belts. Give me another set to SmackDown, and everything will be right in the world. I won't have to be angry anymore.
And you know what?
These tag belts.
Brooke, I'll one-up you immediately and say, I don't think Damian and company gets to unify these belts. You know who I think should unify these belts? Have a real tag team win, and then let those people unify the tag team belts as a tag team.
Let's be clear. I don't care who is the champ when this happens. I don't care. Because the tag belts here lately have been a bit of a prop. That's fine. Doesn't bother me. Okay? Just let it be whoever has these belts. Let them make it one set of belts. Because the two sets is annoying. They're carrying on the lineage of two championships. Does it count as one reign or two? Like, what is going on here? And it aggravates me. So wipe it away.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I think it does matter who unifies the belts. And I would rather it be unified with a bona fide tag team. A tag team who's been together, who's worked hard together, who rides together, who sleeps, I want the person who eats, sleeps, and breathes tag team to take the belt and unify it, so then we can elevate the tag team division on both shows. And I think for everything this tag team, these belts are turning into the women's tag team belts, which I hate to say, but nothing is coming from them. Just these people just carrying around these two belts, and it's no prestige in the tag team belts anymore for me. I want it to be unified with one belt by one tag team, somebody who has worked their whole entire careers almost as a tag team. Unify that. Let's elevate the tag team where they meant something, because they used to mean something. Remember back? We don't even have to go that far back. Remember when the New Day and the Usos was going back and forth with these belts, and it was exciting to watch, and it was interesting? Remember when we had Matt and Jeff Hardy and Christian and Edge and the Dudley Boys fighting for these tag team champions?
I mean,
it was exciting.
It was in the main event of WrestleMania this year. It was a main event of WrestleMania. Like, again, it's not that I think the tag belts are meaningless. It's just I hate looking at two sets of titles on one champion. I think it looks gross. I think it's tired. It's not even like one of those situations where, like, Seth Rollins in 2015 when he had the U.S. title and the world title at the same time, right? That made sense because he defended those belts separately. These two title belts are basically one championship now, and they're still carrying around two sets of straps, and that irks me. So please put them together or split them up. One of the
Put it on New Day with special ring assist from the return of Big E Langston. That's what I want.
Please, my man.
I say keep them as one belt. I don't think we need two sets of tag team championships, because I think we should keep all of the tag teams on one brand. I think if you're going to have, it could be, we're going to have the cruiserweights being known on one brand. We can have the tag teams on another brand. And that can shift and change as you need it. But keep the rivalries personal. Have the teams build themselves up as teams and quit putting two individuals together and utilizing the tag team championships as a mechanism for an individual feud.
Right. Period. We move. I think Melo is going to, I've said it, he's the breakout star of next year for me. One of them, I think, besides Solo. I said Solo, but I think Melo is going to have a really good year this year. I think, I think he's going to have a good year. I think in general, like Brook asked me, do you mean in general or do you mean like a certain story? I think in general, he's going to have a great come up in 2024. I don't know in what capacity, where he's going to land, what show he's going to be on, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think he is such a talent. He is so good he's so good. I can't wait to see what he does once he gets to the main roster. But I think this is going to be a good breakout year for in on the main roster for Melo.
I agree.
Please.
I think that Melo is truly on his way to being the next big thing. I don't know if I think it's 2024 yet, though, Lana. I think it might still be a little early.
I mean, I don't think he's going to be like the hugest thing. I don't think he's going to be like world champion or anything, but I think he's going to have a really good mid-card run where everybody's going to be like, oh, okay. Yeah, he could be a WWE champion at some point. I just think he's going to be on that uptick.
Well, I mean, he is in that U.S. title number 1 contender tournament right now. Imagine he wins that, right? And granted, I don't think he's going to be the person to take the belt off Logan Paul, at least not right now, because they're saving that for Mania at minimum. But just imagine a world where Carmelo Hayes runs through that bracket, wins that tournament, and now he's fighting for the U.S. title at Royal Rumble in his pay-per-view debut on the main roster, right? That would be great. He's done so much incredible stuff in NXT. I'd almost hesitate to say he's done almost everything he can do in NXT. So let this storyline with Trick and Ilya, wrap it up, get it to a logical conclusion, have it finished by Stand and Deliver at Mania, and then guess what? You can move him to the main roster on the Raw after Mania.
Period. Period. Oh, no, Wes is next.
So, we talked about Solo's ascent. Well, we already know about Gunther. And so I want to this is my Westradamus prediction.
Oh, God.
This is the one that I'm putting on the line because I think in 2024, we are going to get to see as Solo breaks out, Gunther is going to break out. They are new talents. They are both going to be huge. We will see them fight, and it will be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Probably as face Gunther and heel Solo. That would be my prediction. But we'll see if that happens. But there's no way this doesn't hurt.
The crazy thing about this to me, though, because when Wes sent me that, I'm like, great, I'm going to have a great time finding a picture for that. And I dug, and I finally found a picture where they fought one time on NXT 2.0, like a year and a half ago, before they were both on the main roster. Also, Gunther has lost about 30 pounds since that picture got taken. Good on you, mate. Please, these are literally the two monsters you have yet to defang on the main roster. Let them fight. We like seeing big boy fight. Please.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Topher, you have nothing? Okay. We move.
Nope. Topher understands what's correct.
It's good. Right. Yeah, there's nothing. So TNA forms a partnership with WWE. I think because of TNA's endeavors with Endeavor recently, I think breadcrumbs are being spilled, and I think a la ECW back in the day, I think we are going to see TNA and WWE, not WWE buying out TNA, but WWE kind of absorbing and working with TNA in some level of talent trade to elevate TNA and to elevate the stars of TNA to then feed into the WWE, or to give wrestlers the ability to go learn a new hold without them having to leave. I just think that we're going to see some sort of merger and partnership here.
Sounds like Trinity's coming home. Period. All right. Mm-hmm.
I pray. I would love that. There was a few years ago when TNA was getting sold around and all of that mess was happening. There was a rumor that WWE almost bought the company and then they didn't. I just imagine a world where WWE's keeps TNA on as a subsidiary that has its own everything else, but they're working together still. That would be the forbidden door I want, right? Because AEW, as much as they have faults, right? They have working relationships with everybody, right? They're working with MLW, they're working with New Japan, they're working with AAA. They used to work with TNA. I don't know, just let me get WWE working with somebody, please. Mm-hmm. Someone. And TNA is a great choice.
That is a good choice. Brook.
Evolution 2. We have waited a long time for
Did you
another
mention long?
Evolution.
Did you mention long?
I specifically said 6 longs because next year it will be 6 years since we had Evolution 1. And the alleged reason they are not doing it anymore is because the women can work the Saudi shows. I don't care. Okay? I do not care. I don't care. Okay? If you want to do me a favor, WWE, okay? You have decided that you're not going to do pay-per-views in December anymore and early January. Okay? Totally fine. Your prerogative, Fed. I'm not going to correct you on that. I think it's great you're letting these wrestlers spend time with their family around the holidays. All for it. However, there's a nice, like we said, 9-week gap now between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble. If you want to make me happy, okay, don't even have to make it a PLE. You can make it a PPE, a premium pre-taped event, okay? Have Evolution occur, right? Air it at the end of December or the beginning of January, and just give me a women's pay-per-view again, okay? Do I think this will happen? Honestly, probably not. Do I think they have everything to make this happen again and should make this happen again? Yes. Which is why it's the prediction I put at the end, because I think it is the least likely to happen, but the one that would probably cause the most conversation. So there you go.
I think they should make it happen. They should make this happen because Evolution, the first one, was amazing. It was so good, and I don't, like you said, I don't care that the women can fight in Saudi now, and they give us 1 or 2 matches in Saudi with the women wearing these long overdressed things that they don't really want to wear, but they have to because they're in Saudi. I want them to be free and able to do what they do and show off what they do. And we can't use it. Yes. We know the women's matches have been getting a lot more, but they've been proving why they should get more time because their matches have been amazing. Some of these matches that the women have put on at these pay-per-views have been better than every man's match that came and followed behind them. And it should have been the main event. And I'm like, yes, we got to this point where we don't have to focus just on the women, but I'm like, why don't we just focus on the women? Because most of the pay-per-view matches are men's matches, and you throw in 2 at the most women's matches in the midst of 3, 4, 5 men's matches. So if you just give them Evolution and say, this is for the women, let them shine, we could build up all of our division, build up that division to the point where everything matters. We can have tag teams that mean something. We can bring in the women from the NXT and the main roster to compete together for once, because we rarely have that. Evolution can happen and should be a yearly thing because representation is important, and these little girls are seeing these women being stars, and they want to do that. It's only going to help your division when little girls growing up want to be a part of the WWE, and they're going to the Performance Center, and they're trying to do this, and they just need to do it.
And you know what? Listen, we live in 2023. Okay, I get it. There are corporations who are trying to shill for money. If that's the way I have to get Evolution, so freaking be it, man. I don't care your reasoning. I don't care if it's some selfish, greedy, capitalistic nonsense.
I don't care.
I just would love to see a pay-per-view where I get enough women's stories where I at least can know what's happening on both shows just by watching a pay-per-view. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Wouldn't that be wild?
And to have a clear understanding of what show the women are on. I didn't even realize that the women's board games match was like basically a SmackDown match.
Right.
And on top of all of that too, if you look back at Evolution then, right, so many of the people that we like think of as like stars in the women's division now really got their first big shot on the main roster at Evolution in 2018. Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler fought for the NXT Women's title. Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai fought for the NXT UK Women's title. There was the match that the Mae Young Classic finals were at Evolution that year.
Right.
Also, side note, bring back the Mae Young Classic, but beside the point.
So
we got to see some incredible returning people. Like Maria came back for this. Alundra Blaze came back for it. Michelle McCool, Ivory, Trish and Lita were there. The Bella Twins. I mean, if you cared about them, they showed up, right? And Molly Holly was there too. And if I have any selfish reason to make Evolution 2 happen, it is so I can get another appearance by Molly Holly on my screen. So please, 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 please make this happen. I need it. Need it.
what I would like to see, though, more so than just like an Evolution where it's a women's pay-per-view for women's sake, I would just like to see enough thought, care, and effort put into the women's storylines and for them to put in the proper place on the card. There's no reason why we can't have a PLE that just so happens to have, although they are doing less matches in PLEs, which I like because it gives them more time. But let's say, for example, where we have 3 or 4 women's matches and only 1 or 2 men's matches, because we don't need, we have the roster and the depth to be able to do that. There was no reason why Trish versus Becky should not have main evented that night, especially with Shinsuke not going over. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, it was that Shinsuke and Seth should have opened that night, and Beth and Becky, not Beth, Becky and Trish.
Trish and Becky. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it should have been given the care that it deserved. And that should have been a wrap. So
absolutely.
And also, on top of that, last note, you are literally going to let NWA have the most recent all-women's pay-per-view WWE? Absolutely not. No, you need to fix this. Fix it. Take your title back. Get it back. Bring back Evolution. Please, dear Lord. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that's it, y'all. That's our opinions on 2023 and what we think is going to happen in 2024. We spent a lot of time with y'all today, and so we hope you enjoyed the time, and leave us your comments below. Let us know what you think about our predictions. If you agree or disagree, give us your own predictions in the comment section below. It's been good. This was fun. I love these one-off videos. I appreciate you all spending the time with us. Follow us on our socials, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at The Cup Pod. We have some pretty funny moments, and we're some funny people. You can follow us there. Follow, subscribe, hit the buttons, the notification bells, all the things. We put out content almost every single day about all things reality TV and wrestling. Follow us on Twitter. If you see the links below, you can follow us. We're cool people. Get your cup merch. Get your mug and all your other cup merch, all the things. Get your merch here at LanaG'sCreations.etsy.com. And we're going to get out of here because we're tired.
We've been here for a long time, y'all.
We talked a good minute about wrestling. I don't know what else you need us to say.
It's been a whole year.
In an hour and a half or so. But we've been here. Y'all know it. So cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Good night. Good night. Have a good one. I still think Solo should be the